Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hypertrophy Odyssey. It is the first day of the week, aka the Kamehameha workout. I'm feeling very good right now, very excited for this workout. It's been a while since I've recorded one of these. I haven't done them and I've been on and off on them for a while, mostly because I haven't really thought of anything to talk about. So in today's episode, I'm going to be riffing off a couple of things. Maybe not make this a power hour, but maybe more so along the lines of something in particular. I think today's topic of interest will be dealing with people. I know that sounds like a really weird type of subject matter because it can kind of mean anything. But more recently than not, I think that now I'm dealing with a lot of different people in my life and seeing all their little quirks and ways that they kind of interact with the world and how they see the world, the lens that they view it through, and people that I want to make sure get out of my life because they are causing me issues is a very interesting thing, because I think that now in times like now, when I'm older, I understand what's going on in the world, I kind of want to say, how can I just get this person to legally get away from me? And it's not necessarily just like all of that, because there are other ideas behind it and all this other stuff, but it's just an interesting thought when looking at it now that you're older. You know, when you're younger, all you have to do is kind of just ignore them and they kind of leave. Now, because of contractual obligations and those types of things, you kind of have to go through systems in order to be able to get the person the fuck away from you. And it sucks because there are certain situations where, let's just say, they've managed to skirt by and all of a sudden they're still around, or they are skirting by and somehow managing to still stick around. So in today's episode, we're going to be looking at that, just dealing with people, because dealing with people has changed so rapidly. I think even for me personally, when it comes to just generally the people around me, plus the people that are second person to me, you know what I mean, and third person to me, who have now become first person to me. So it's a very interesting dynamic, but also understanding how certain people work and really exercising that to the point where you can make it work for you, and the other way around, where you're going to try to make their life a living hell just because they're making your life a living hell. So it is what it is. But with that being said, I will see you, Mother Race.
Alright, so started this day off with dips, which are pretty good, but anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Dealing with people, which is a weird subject matter. I didn't think I'd ever actually make a video about this in and of itself, not because I wouldn't deal with people, but more so, this was kind of something that was happening to me for a little while, just because I had to deal with multiple people in different ways, shapes, and fashions. As in previous episodes, my old coworker now officially left my job, so I had to take up the mantle of doing more stuff at my job, which also meant that I ended up interviewing new people in order for there to be her position filled in, technically. So with that being said, it was a very interesting dynamic to deal with people, especially when interviewing them, because it's such a formal area in order to deal with others, as well as informal depending on the person, because sometimes I've found that when dealing with certain people, you kind of understand where they're coming from, where you don't want to actually help them, if that makes any sense. I know that seems terrible, but also I think there are levels to it, especially when it comes to like something like an interview or even just dealing with people over the phone. We'll discuss that in a second. But when I was interviewing people and actually trying to assess whether or not they'd be good for the job, there was a certain level of care and also seriousness that was needed for it. There was one person in particular who I remember interviewing, which I could not take seriously because they were driving and Ubering whilst doing the interview, which is quite literally insane. But the thing is, it's like when dealing with something like that, or just dealing with people in general, you kind of understand where they're coming from in a certain sense. Like the interview process is a fucking terrible process, but it is something where you kind of have to put your best foot forward and kind of sell yourself. And a lot of people don't actually end up doing that. There's a lot of mistakes that a lot of people do with that. But it's just interesting to see how dealing with someone from the offset like that, and then having that person all of a sudden become a coworker, and now having to deal with them on a regular basis is a very interesting dynamic as you go from complete stranger to now you see this person every day, you know, and it's a very interesting dynamic. Or if you are on the other side of something like dealing with customer service and knowing that on the other side they're frustrated or they're trying to get some information or whatever, and dealing with these types of people is always very much a mixed bag. But after doing this job that I have currently for 2 years and just dealing with people in general, it's like I understand what the person person is like, especially when they call, because it takes a certain level of person to call. And I've learned that that's also me. But then again, there are people out there who do not like that interaction with people. That interaction is too much. They would rather talk to a chat bot or via the emails or something along those lines, which honestly are very annoying to me because I don't like that. I like the instantaneous feedback. I am an older person, but that is something that makes it so it's an older person thing. That's another thing where we just kind of like, there's like a disconnect on how people interact, especially with younger kids nowadays, where you can have a conversation with them, but they're not necessarily having the same conversation you are. They lack certain social skills. And I think, I'm not going to blame social media for that, but I think that as well, just schools in general have kind of made it so that there's no need for actual physical social interactions, and then make it so that, people that you actually talk to, let's say just over the fucking phone, are usually just older. Just generally now, you don't really get young people calling. They only do it if they have to or are required to. So it's interesting just dealing with certain people and how they kind of just come up in different parts and aspects in life, whether it be a complete stranger, where all of a sudden you kind of have to be an asshole to a complete stranger because they're being a dickhead doing something they probably shouldn't be doing, or just holding people up. There's nothing worse than being in a grocery store and being held up by somebody that's hogging up the aisle and you can't get around them. You know what I mean? Like, that's like the worst thing. And then if you say something, it's like, all right, I gotta say excuse me, like just move. But then they give you a look like as if you're the one that's fucking up. Well, fuck you, you're in the way. The low self-awareness that some of these people have in the world around them is quite frightening, if anything. And I think I've noticed that a lot recently, where the lack of knowing what they're doing within the world in and of itself, the idea that they are the main character in all lives, not just their own, is very frightening. And I hate that, because most of the time, these are the types of people that will get you dragged into something that you never even intended to, because they have a gravitational pull for the evil in the world.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped, also none. Got everything in, thankfully. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Dealing with people. So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because this is something that, as you get older, you kind of get wiser to a lot of the different ways that you can maneuver people, at least if you are socially adequate in social situations. Of course, there are people that are socially retarded, and that's a whole other conversation. But generally speaking, you get to grow better. It's like a muscle that you flex once you interact with more and more people, and you kind of understand their ways, really. And the thing is, I understand why in certain areas or aspects of life you would deal with certain people that would rub you the wrong way, and that's the stereotypes of the Karens and things like that would make sense. But also as well, when you get older, you realize that a lot of people are just wasting your time. You know what I mean? Like, you're just sitting there waiting for something to happen. Now, of course, there are things where hopefully they are trying to do something behind the scenes, but in reality, they're just sitting there, just twiddling their thumbs, waiting for something to do, or for someone that is actually knowing of their job of what to do to have like a moment of time to tell them what their job is, really, which is kind of an insane thing to have to happen. But yet, at the same time, this is the society we live in, where we promote people that really don't understand what their job is and continue giving them promotions because for some reason we reward incompetency. I think when dealing with people in general, it's a very interesting, it sucks a lot of the time, because most of the time you want to be direct and you want to be very non-professional most of the time. I want to just get this shit out. But if I say that to Emily in HR, she's going to have a fit. So I have to say, hi Emily, how are you doing today? I hope this serves you well. Not to bother you, but I'm having a little bit of an issue with X, Y, or Z. Please take a look at it and let me know how to proceed. Thank you very much. Boom. Sign, Oscar. Fuck you. And it's just kind of like, I hate having to do that HR speak in every single aspect of the world, because realistically, sometimes I just want to tell somebody to fuck off and move on. And I think that the message is clearer that way. Less of this verbal diarrhea that happens a lot of the time. And that's in another conversation. But in this one in particular, when just talking to people, whether it be verbally or through via messaging, it's kind of interesting how things can and will be misinterpreted easily, because people are fucking stupid and will easily just take things that are from thin air all of a sudden into whatever you're saying and just make it into whatever analogous thing, or trying to put the square peg in the round hole type of thing, and then they look like the guy from fucking Idiocracy trying to be like, and then don't look, It's very frustrating when having to deal with that because there's so many factors that could go into making society, or at least factors in society, so much smoother and so much quicker, but yet we just have so many issues with communications and having to deal with people that we really don't care about. And then there are those beautiful people that end up actually helping you, making shit go quicker, making shit like be like, oh, you just need to do this, this, and this, done. That's all you need to do. No bullshit, no nothing. Just get it all through you. And I like that. Those are the types of people you want to see that are great customers. Tip you 15%, even though it's not 20, it's still better than nothing. It's just there, you know what I mean? Just the bottom, straight down the line type of person, which I do enjoy because those types of people are easy to work with and for, because you don't have to sit there and wonder all of these things or weirdly communicate with you know, figuring out how to dance through fucking rain in order to figure out how to get out through the other side dry, making sure that they aren't getting wet along the way and then their feelings are hurt for some weird reason. I hate the idea of having to be on my best behavior when talking to someone. It seems as though it should be irrelevant to the way that I am towards them if the goal is getting done, right? It's not even dedicated towards anything in particular, but just dealing with people has just become such a interesting thing for me, because I think that now in particular I have to deal with a lot of different people and they all have different temperaments, and I don't know if I enjoy doing it or if it's like if I treat it like a game I would enjoy it more, which I kind of do, but in a certain different other sense than like a JRPG or something like that. But that's a different episode for a different day. But with that being said, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. This one was kind of random, but still one nonetheless. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Keep it heavy, stay safe out there, and stay warm. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!